Everybody, welcome. Come on in. We are so excited to be here again today. I am going to get my stuff up on the screen so I can stay on track. So welcome everybody. We are thankful because you could be anywhere on the internet, and we are honored that you are here celebrating another episode of The Breakthrough with us. I'd like to invite you to take a minute and click that love button, click the like button, share this video out with your family, your friends, your colleagues, any groups that you know that allow live feeds that could use some positivity so that more people can enjoy this show with us today. And please make sure that you say hello as well. My name is Jessica Dugas, and I am an intuitive mentor and healer.
And my name is Donna Brown. I'm a holistic wellness practitioner, and this is The Breakthrough. It's the spiritual view for your soul and mind, where we dig deep on today's spiritual hot topic and inspire you with stories of those breakthrough moments that change our lives. Today, we would love for you to click on the video, say hi to us, interact throughout the show, so that we would love to hear your questions, your comments as we go on. And we're ready to start, Jessica.
All right, so we have an exciting show today. Honestly, every show is exciting for me, but I'm a little biased. So, our guest is our amazing friend Tarah Abram, who is also the final panelist introduction for our show. Tarah is a meditation teacher as well as a talented photographer and designer, and we are going to be talking to her about loneliness today, what that looks like for her, how overcoming it changed her life. We cannot wait to dive into this topic with Tarah, but first, it is time to bring on our fabulous panelists today, because we have to move into hot topics. So I want to introduce our panelist today. She was on last week's show as well. She's our declutter coach and consultant, helping you to get rid of the clutter in your life so that you can make room for these breakthrough moments. The fabulous Heather Clark. Everybody say hi to Heather. So without further ado, it is time for hot topics.
And today we're going to talk about focusing on positivity. When we focus on positivity, does that mean we are not being real, Jessica?
This is okay. So let me tell you what prompted this interesting thing. First of all, the little meme that you guys see below cracks me up every time I see it. It says, "I got called pretty today." Well, actually, the full statement was, "You're pretty annoying," but I only focus on the positive things. So, I have worked really, really hard, and I know that many of you, I know that Donna, I know Heather, I know a lot of you guys that are watching can relate to this. We have come leaps and bounds on our spiritual journey, and we have worked very, very, very hard at trying to maintain positivity in our lives. And so a lot of what we portray now on social media with our clients and things like that are a much more positive attitude. And I started seeing some posts, there's little memes and everything that have been made about how being positive all the time is not being real. It's being in denial about things and all of this stuff. And I think that it's important for us to understand that being positive doesn't mean that stuff is perfect. It doesn't mean that things don't happen to us too. It just means that we work really hard to make a choice to be in this positive space instead of dwelling on the negative things. How do you, Heather, do you tend to try to stay in a positive space? How does that look for you?
Actually, it's funny that we're talking about this topic, because literally just last night I was talking to a friend, and one of the things, so he's in an emergency medical position, and we were just talking about how certain things happen to us in our lives that, as crappy as they are, there's always something to look at and go, you know what, I'm glad this happened this way. Or I'm glad, this had, the way it turned out was like this, or that I met this person, even though it was only for, a short period of time. Like, it's just, we were just talking about that, and it's like, and he was even saying like, how do you keep that positive spin? I was like, because there's so many times where I took the wrong, like not the wrong, but the negative spin, and I spun in a like absolute complete spiral in that, in the sense of the negative part of me became more negative, and I just made everybody around me that way. But holding myself positive, I at least know one person around me is positive. So at least I know I won't spiral in that, you know, that dark part of the negativity. So yeah, it was just funny that we were actually just talking about this last night.
It's timely. Every week these topics, like we don't plan really far in advance for the topic, for the hot topics, but it always seems to be, we come on every Friday and go, oh, this is funny because this just came up.
Yeah.
Donna, how does this kind of resonate for you?
Well, you know, it's really funny because, like Heather was just saying, how you can get into that negative spin on things, and you can just literally spiral completely out of control.
We don't know anything about spiraling. We don't.
No, or rabbit holes either, for that matter. So you know, but I had a mentor say to me one time, your outside world mirrors your inside world. So when something's going on around you on the outside, that is a sign that you need to look internally to see what's going on. So that helped me find the positive, because I would look at, okay, I would take myself out of the process, because when we spiral out negatively, right, we're in it all. It's all happening to us and us only. It can't be anybody else. It's got this problem. And so that helped me step outside and go, oh, but wait a minute, the positive in this is, you know, X, Y, and Z, whatever the situation was. So for me, I found that the more positive that I can stay, not only am I being positive and helping the energy around me maintain positivity, but I'm also helping what's around me to find the positive in the situation. Now, where it gets funny, Jessica, and I'm curious to hear how you handle this, because this is where it gets kind of dicey, is when you're positive and the person around you doesn't want to, gets mad at you because they want you to be in that negative space with them.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It's interesting because that ties in with our topic from last week too, about the asleep awake thing. And some people are not ready to hear this message or this energy of positivity, right? And so, I mean, so I'm thinking about a couple of things. Like, first of all, in the book club that Donna and I are in, we've been doing a lot of personal development books, and there has been a theme throughout each of these books that we're doing, that it's not about so much ignoring things that are there. It's about acknowledging the things that come up, and then decreasing the time from that acknowledgement to moving forward. So instead of staying in this place of acknowledgement, and then you're dwelling, and then you're spiraling like Heather was talking about, and you're going down all these places, it's like, okay, I see what's going on here. It really sucks in this moment, but now I'm going to go ahead and move forward. It's about shortening that time. So that's why I think I get so riled up when I see these things about positivity not being real. You know how much realness it takes to be positive when your entire body hurts? Like, it's like you're in so much physical pain. I have dealt with chronic pain and things like that for most of my life. And it takes a lot of energy and a smile on my face and a huge amount of discipline and choice to say, okay, yes, I hurt, but I'm going to do something about it. And I'm not going to sit here and whine, and I'm not going to dwell in this space. I'm going to move forward. And so I think that that's really the key. Any of us who seem like, and first of all, social media, I mean, raise your hand if you understand that social media, majority of what you see is not really what's behind the scenes, okay? But the other side of that is I think I'm a pretty real person, and I will tell people what I'm going through. I mean, Donna and Heather can both vouch for that. In my community, I'll come out and I'll say, hey guys, I'm not feeling 100% today, but I'm not going to post 50 posts about feeling like garbage either. I'm going to say, okay, I don't feel good. Now let's talk about the moon, because that's way more fun. So how do you guys... Go ahead, Donna.
Well, go ahead, Heather. I think you were going to ask.
Okay, yeah, I was actually, I just unmuted myself. No, I was going to say, actually, one of the people that I read about years ago, Hal Elrod, I don't know if anyone knows about him or whatever, but his one thing is yes, things suck. There are times where things just suck like crazy. Like, the man has gone through like a death-defying accident. He's gone through cancer and all that stuff. But one of his things has always been that he will sit on it, whatever it is, for 5 minutes. And that is it. He sets a timer and says, I can be as mad about this for these 5 minutes. That is it. After that, I got to switch my mindset. I got to, look on the brighter side and stuff like that. Like, the man has beaten cancer. The man has literally cheated death in that car accident. Like, he should have been gone or whatever. But he still knows that the crap still happens to us. And he's allows himself to have that 5 minutes, putting that timer, saying, this is all the time I get, and then I'm going to move forward. So that's all I just wanted to say, because I thought that was like one of those greatest things that I've been trying to learn is, okay, you got 5 minutes to really sit on the suck.
Yeah.
But then after that, you're good.
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool, because I was just going to say, for me, just earlier today, I come on an hour before the show, and Jessica and I kind of banter back and forth about things that we're going to do on the show. And I was, 9 minutes late, Jessica? Because it literally took me 6 minutes to get my computer up. Now, for 5 minutes of that, I am, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening to me. What in the world is going on? And I'm fussing at the computer, and I'm threatening to throw it through the window. And then I went, okay, wait a minute. This is not helping. This is like scolding a child. The more you sit there and yell at the child, it's not going to do anything, right? So I breathed, and I was like, okay, this is what I need you to do now. I need to get on the computer. And it was like, as soon as I changed my thought process and the way I was talking to the computer, I was on. And then I'm laughing at Jessica as I get on, and I go, here I am. I just yelled at my computer for 5 minutes, and here I am. So it was amazing, and every time it still amazes me after all these years that every time you get mad or something negative is going on and you get into this 5 minutes of bantering and being in that moment, and then when you go, wait a minute, what's another way that I can make this turn around the way I need it to? And then you shift that energy and you shift that thought process, and then it's like, oh wow, look, I went straight in. Didn't have an ounce of problems. And it's like, why didn't I do this sooner?
Well, I mean, that's basic law of attraction, right? I mean, right. That's where things started to really shift for me about being mindful about lessening that turnaround time, because I saw that the quicker I could pull myself out of it and get into a better energy, the quicker things started to change. So the longer I stay in this space of, oh, I don't feel good, or oh, nothing's going right, or poor Jessica in some kind of way, that's what I continue to get in my life. And so if we can just lessen that time and be positive, that's the quicker the things will turn around. And it is, I want to tell everybody that's watching, it is not easy to do that. It is a practice. It is something that you have to continually work at. There are moments for me where I still have to say, okay, Jessica, you've been at this complaining stuff for a little while now. It's time to come out. And so you really just have to practice it. But I also want to talk specifically to those of you who show up positive, to show up in a positive light, and have had people say to you, you're not real, you're avoiding reality, you are not acknowledging the things that are coming on. I see you, okay? And I know that the other ladies see you as well. You are not alone in that. And there is nothing not real about being about choosing to be positive. That's what I want to leave you guys with today. So, without further ado now, I want to welcome our special guest on the Breakthrough today. She is our amazing friend, meditation teacher, photographer, designer, and of course, our final introduction of a future panelist of the Breakthrough, Tarah Abram. Everybody give some hearts, some likes for Tarah. We are so excited to have you here today. Thank you for joining us. All right, so Tarah, how do you feel about our hot topic that we were talking about positivity? Do you feel like you're still being real when you're being positive?
Yeah, absolutely, I do. I think it's kind of tying into what Donna was saying about the energy thing and kind of moving that energy. I think if you can kind of just shift your perception on things, it helps kind of get you out of that negative space. But I mean, sometimes you need to have a little hissy fit.
Right?
And just like freak out a little bit. But, as to what Heather was saying, set that time aside, do it, and then kind of try to move past. I read something in a book one time. I don't remember the name of the book, but they said something like, you get 3 times to talk about, like, it's kind of similar to what you were saying, Heather, but you get 3 times to talk about something, and after the 3rd time, that's it. Like, talked about it 3 times, and then, kind of move on. But I think for me, that's been the biggest thing is, like, when you're in that frustrated place, okay, how can I look at this differently? How can I change my perception on it? And then if that doesn't work, like throwing salt or, smudging or something like that. It always gives it a little boost.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm really excited that you're going to be part of the show, first of all, because I was talking to the ladies before the show. I fell in love with Tarah's energy. Like as soon as we met, I just loved everything about you, Tarah, and just the vibe that you put out there. And you have a lot of things that you are really good at, and a lot of things that you offer through your business, and so I feel like you're gonna, just as a kind of a side note, I feel like you're gonna bring such a well-rounded view to our show as well. So I'm so excited that you're gonna be back as panelists after we get to know you a little bit better today. So we're gonna be talking to you about loneliness today. And Donna hinted a little bit last week that there may be a Vegas story involved here. And usually what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but not today, people.
We're getting a sneak peek into a Vegas travel trip. Woo!
Yeah. So Tarah, why don't you take us back to from the time before this trip? What did things look like in your life? What kind of things were going on in your life before this trip that you took?
Yeah, so this was kind of like a business retreat kind of trip that had come up. And so prior to that, obviously, I've been kind of working in the online world, and I've met a lot of people. Obviously, I've met you, you're amazing, and networked and stuff like that. But yeah, I think with the people like, around me and then in real life, I didn't really know very many people that were kind of doing this adventure, this kind of tapping out into this like networking worldwide space sort of thing. And so, eventually you kind of found yourself in a place where you feel like you're talking like an alien. I'm like, my MailChimp server's not working and this isn't happening. Everyone's like, I have no idea what you're even saying right now, what it even means, what you're even talking about. So yeah, definitely. It was kind of, it wasn't like a huge bothersome thing, but it was like, you talk about that, like just have somebody to talk to about these things, or pick their brains or ask questions and do a little, masterminding and brainstorming and stuff. And yeah, so this, before Christmas this past fall, I somehow got nominated for this badassery thing. So anyways, this was their kind of retreat bash thing, and my girlfriend was like, are you going? And then I'm like, I think I'd like to, but the idea of like going to a house with like, we've gotten to know each other virtually, and I didn't know everybody, and I've had some great relationships, but I was like, I really stay in a house with like 15 people like for like that many days. I'm like, could I really do this? Like, I'm introverted. I like my space. I like my time. I like to be sociable, and I like my downtime. So my girlfriend, Lana, she's like, we're going. She's like, yes, you're going. So I'm like, okay. And I literally thought like it'd be going to like, have you ever seen that show, like The Bachelorette? We were joking around. We're like, without the men, but we're like, I'm like, it feels like we're going to The Bachelorette, right? So, yeah. So, but I have to tell you, it was such a cool experience.
What is your experience like? What was your experience like locally to you? Like not in the online space. Do you feel like you had a support system locally at that time?
No, I guess that's what I was going to take a step back and go. So I had gone back in February and did like a 7-day meditation intensive, and I met some just amazing people. I've got some beautiful friendships from it, and it was and that was kind of my first experience because it was like 7 a.m. to 10 o'clock at night, like for 7 days. So you're seeing everybody a lot. And I was just, that first week was the first time I was like, wow, I was so floored by how we were just all like magically connected in some way. Like there was just, little stories would come up throughout the week. And I mean, I didn't stay there. I drove back home every night so I could see the kids and stuff. But so that was kind of like my first experience, but I still kind of felt like afterwards, I just couldn't relate to a lot of the things that I was doing, right? In some ways, absolutely. But in other ways, like when it comes to, we're in Mercury retrograde right now. How many times we've been pulling our hair? I'm sure all of us. And then we can all just like hashtag each other. Oh, Mercury, I hear you, sister. Like we got it, right? But yeah, so this took everything to a whole new level, and it was just awesome. And so it was really pushing myself to get out of my comfort zone and go through that experience. At the end of it, I realized there were so many more of us samies that kind of were doing the same thing. And, everybody's passion is so much bigger than you would even know. And I think that was so cool, connecting that way. And yeah, I taught the meditations there, and we did a beautiful new moon ceremony. It was lovely. Yeah.
Mm. So what kind of thing, what was it like for you in this loneliness? What kind of things did you experience, feelings or things did you experience as a result of the loneliness that you felt? Do you found that you wanted to withdraw more? Did you have thoughts about yourself that maybe were not healthy? Like, how was that playing out for you?
I mean, absolutely. Yeah. Your thoughts, things creep up. You second guess yourself sometimes. Sometimes you're like, why does it feel like I'm the only person that's talking about these things or doing, or has questions about, how do I do this or do that? But also it was, I think, even deeper too, on a level of just, like I said, everybody's so, like I know all three of you, you're all so passionate about what you do and the people that you help. And it's really a service, kind of thing, right? That's the intention is to help other people in a big way. And it was just really neat being in the vibrational space of that many people at one time that all feel so strongly that way. It was just something that I had never experienced before. And had I not gotten that push, I don't know, I don't know if it would have went. If I had my girlfriend, we've known each other for like 21 years. She's dragging my hair, like, come on. And I'm like, okay, like I did really want, I really wanted to go. I really wanted to be with her, but I was still like, okay, I want to do that. I don't know. Maybe I should stay maybe I should stay in my own hotel and come. What do you think? But she's like, we're doing it. So.
Well, sometimes
I didn't really have a choice.
Did you? Okay, when you went to your first group setting, within that group, did you feel kind of lonely? Did you feel kind of different from everybody else in there? And maybe kind of feel, I know the very first time I stepped out and went to my very first meditation group with a big group of people, they seemed so far more advanced and meditated. I mean, I was just new to it at the time, a long time ago. And so I just remember being in there and just kind of wanting to crawl in a hole because I'm thinking, you guys are so far ahead of me and I feel alone. I feel back here, and not that they were treating me that way at all. They were actually very nice and bringing me in. So I was just curious, did you feel any of that when you went on your first trip? Or
Well, I think at the end of the day, I think everybody feels really vulnerable when you get into those spaces because, you're really tapping into doing a lot of that inner work, and, things come up and emotions come up and feelings come up. And when you're with people that you've never met before in your life, it's a little awkward. So it was actually last summer, I got my certification training done, and we did this exercise where we had to stand right next to somebody. And, this was a 3-day kind of thing. And basically face to face, and we had to keep coming closer and closer and just like gaze into each other's eyes. And it was such a, like, at first everybody's trying not to laugh, and you're trying to like, okay, be respectful of the person and go through this experience. But it's so funny. Certain things like this can be so like transformational and life changing. And then you realize, how we are so connected and how we're also equal. And, it's just everybody has like something, layers behind that you don't know and you don't see, and it was a really powerful experience. And so to take that into this one this year, it was like a whole new level. And my mentor taught me that they say that meditation usually comes to you at the right time, and it was just, to me, it was so fascinating. It's an 11-year too, and there was 11 of us. So there were so many interesting things about the week. And like I said, we'd sit down and we would chat, and suddenly there was just such a connection. Like, oh, we had this same experience in our family. We could talk about it. Or this happened in a friendship or relationship, or somebody had this illness, and we could relate on that level. Like, it was just mind blowing to me how each and every single person, there was just some very strong similarity, synchronicity, connection. And I guess to answer your face, I think I definitely felt that way, but I feel like everybody kind of felt that way. We just kind of stay in our shells a little bit. And then once, by the end of the week, everybody's like, no, we want another week. Oh, I think
Heather's muted.
There we go. Now I'm not muted. So after this week is done, you guys had like transformational moments and stuff with each other. You spent like literally morning, noon, and night with each other. Coming home, and after, when you're not with them, because that's what I hear a lot of people, like, you get this high, and I've been at like in real life events and stuff like that. It's that high. How did you not revert back to that loneliness that you felt before this trip? And how did you take the excitement from it and bring it forward so that, that loneliness didn't sneak up on you on like the most inopportune times?
Yeah. Well, so it was actually kind of really interesting. So the week that I was at my meditation intensive, I can't remember exactly the date it was, but it has been earlier. I actually had a silly fall and I sprained my back. And it was nasty, and I was stubborn. I'm like, oh, I'm busy, it'll be fine, it's all good. Like, I didn't really know that I actually hurt myself. And so I kept doing things, and then pretty soon, all of a sudden, I was like in this place, I'm like, I can't even walk. And then I finally started seeing a chiropractor and getting things back. And when I got there that week, I still had this, like, I was still struggling. Like, the first day, I was like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to get through this week on the floor and meditating and down and up. Like, it was just really painful. And so as we got into these really deep, intense meditations, I started to feel better, and I started to feel like my mobility coming back, like my energy was moving, and it had been stagnant. And so my mentor, she's amazing, she said to me one day, we were in the class, and she said, Tarah, the back is for support. And sometimes maybe perhaps because, you're experiencing this pain, you're feeling like you have a lack of support around you, but we're here and we're all around you. And I hadn't, it was so interesting because I hadn't really thought of it that way. And I'll tell you, by the end of that week, my back was fine. I had moved whatever energy was in me. And so I think it's, when she said that to me, it's always just stuck with me. And so kind of moving into Vegas, and I was still nervous. It was a totally different experience. It was a totally different kind of trip. And, meeting people from all over the world. But that's just kind of the thing that would bring in my head. She'd bring that thing there, and that support, that you have that around you. But it's like you almost don't want to accept that it is around you, kind of thing. Have you ever had that, right? But then really it was really just kind of embrace it and breathe into it. Yeah, I do. That's cool. So Yeah.
It's interesting because I and I'll talk more about this in roundtable, but I have had quite the experience with coming into to my spiritual awakening and everything in a place where I don't have that kind of support either, where people even understand what in the world I'm doing. And so, but I think my struggle, even in coming to that space of understanding that the people around me are just doing the best they can do. They're not at that space yet. It's very much like we talked about in Hot Topics last week. They're just not in the space to understand the things that I do in my life. I still, I'm a very huggy person. And so oftentimes my struggles come from, I can't reach through the screen and hug Tarah when she gave me so much support, and Donna sent me a voice message that made me cry, and I can't reach and hug her, and Heather helped me declutter, and I can't reach through and hug her, and I get sad again. And so how do you ever experience loneliness now, and how do you work through that in the moment?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think now I just feel like I have a little bit more of a confidence with it. Mm-hmm. But I totally agree with you. I think when I showed up, Lan and I were getting out of the cab because we took an Uber or whatever it was from where we were staying the day before. And I'm jumping up and down. I'm like, oh my God, we're hugging everybody. And the was like, oh, Tarah. but Lana's like that too, so it's she didn't know everybody nearly as well. She was kind of my bestie coming in, and by the end of the week, even she was just and she's been in business for years, not virtually, it's kind of very different, but she even had found herself at the end of that weekend, she was like, wow, I've never felt so connected with people that have the similar it's that entrepreneurship sort of thing too. And you have those same fears, you have those same worries. No, it wasn't maybe on a virtual level, but we still all were able to connect. We were all those very different places in business, very different businesses. But that connection was really there. So I think I keep going, I just need to manifest seeing my sisters around the world a little more often. We need a retreat or something so that we can have an excuse.
I know, and I'm so excited because we're gonna get to see each other at the end of this year, and it's and I saw Donna a little bit a couple months ago, and so I think it's been so important for us to, when we have those moments, to cherish them more and to really be in the moment and put your phone down and hug some people. All of that. It's so important. What advice would you have for people who maybe are experiencing this loneliness, and maybe they don't really know what to do about it? Maybe they can't go to a retreat, and maybe they're not really sure who they can find, and maybe there's some trust issues there, and there's other things going on. How would you tell people to kind of move forward from that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think there's a variety of ways that you can go about doing it, and I think there's kind of two ways of looking at it. And sometimes I look at just looking at yourself and kind of doing a little bit more of that inner work, and a little bit kind of just to build up your own connection, your awareness, your confidence. But then at the same time too, the virtual space is so big. So I think that whole, just don't be afraid to see where you might end up. There's a lot of great Facebook groups, and maybe there's something that you're really interested in, maybe you're into painting or something like that. And there's some that you can come across that you can kind of connect on that level, and they, as a starting point anyways, you can have these, we're doing right now, this virtual discussion, and we're not, we've got two of us here in Canada and two in the US, and Heather's on the other side of Canada, and I'm on the west side, but it's at least connecting with people that can understand what you're experiencing, what you're doing. We can have our moon talks and we roll well together, right? So I think it's just it being open, because I think that was for me. I was like, for the longest time, I withheld even like connecting with new people. I'm like, no, I'm in my little circle. This is good. Like, I don't want to go out past that. Like, coming on a show like this and being visible like this, like, I'd be like, no, I don't want to do that. But it was, and don't get me wrong, I had a lot of, mentors and support from friends that I've met saying, just do it already. Like, just do it, right? So, and then now that you've done it once or maybe 10 times with puking, now you're like, okay, I did it. Now it's done. Okay, what's next? That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I would never have met any of you amazing ladies if I didn't step out of that comfort zone. And yeah.
Mm. I think that
it's nice to at least have that connection versus not at all, right?
Yes.
Right.
Gratitude for that.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I think one of the other things that, you, Jessica, do with the group and stuff like that is the book club. Like, doing something as a little club of whatever it is that you enjoy doing and having still that connection, whether it's 2 or 3 or 4 other people too. That's also can help anyone with this loneliness that you were having as entrepreneurs or as people who are introverts and stuff. That's not me. I'm definitely extrovert, but they're
really never. Are you?
Nuh-uh.
Exactly. But I also do have those introvert moments too, where I want to retreat, like, go back behind my screen, because it's like, I love people, but there's times where peopling is too much at certain times. But having still this interaction online, like you said, with your book club and stuff like that, or even like, painting clubs, there's people that do cross stitch online. There's people that do like a whole bunch of stuff online, like finding something that you enjoy as a hobby, but also you still have that connection regardless whether it's online or in person.
Mm-hmm. I like
that.
Well,
sometimes it's hard too. Like, I mean, I, with 3 kids and stuff like that, because I know I had a girlfriend one time, she's like, don't you miss that? Like, 'cause I was doing a book club thing too. And I'm like, I do, but I'm like, I don't have the time to drive to go somewhere sometimes to go through the evening, which would probably extend longer, because once you connect with people, usually it always ends up longer, and come home, like, to be able to set that aside of time. But, it's given, the virtual space is given the opportunity to experience those things, and you can kind of find people too that are more like, they want to read a fun book that I'm interested in, that's, maybe about the universe or something like that. Maybe there's not as many people around me that want to read that same book, but when you take
So see, you should be in mine and Jessica's book club.
I know.
Exactly. We need some stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I think I don't know. That's my take on it. It's been fun. It was scary at first. Like, I'm like, you get those things like, oh, is this creepy? Who's going to be online and what's going to happen? Like, oh my gosh! Like, I had all these like massive fears about and now I'm like, I don't even know what the heck I was afraid of.
Oh, that could be a whole other show, just about the fears and the things that we've been programmed to believe about, online relationships and things like that. I mean, I met my husband online, and, that's a good thing. And so,
what was your first, when you first stepped out of your comfort zone, what was the first thing? Like, if somebody was an introvert and they were looking at trying to step out of that comfort zone, what would you tell them the first step for them to take would be? What was the first thing you did, maybe?
For me, honestly, it was really finding a comfortable space. I came across my mentor and business coach, and she had a group, and I just felt so unaligned with it. Wow, what she did, like we were just, she was also an interior designer and into all the fun stuff and essential oils, and we just had so many similar interests, but we also had that connection too about all the fun things they like to talk about. And so I think for me that was actually the first. It was kind of it's a secret group, and I felt I was like, okay, I can start there and just see how that goes. And I'll tell you, even I ended up teaching a master class in that group. And oh my gosh, like I couldn't tell you, like just getting through that, even in that small space for me was like, and then I don't even think I've done it again since. But I mean, I've moved on since then. But I think that was really my first, was finding that, like, that connection with what felt like was in alignment. And it was, I think it was so in alignment that I was kind of like it was almost like a cosmic 2x4, like, hey, what's wrong here? Like, everything's in perfect alignment. So give it a go and give it a try. It was almost like it didn't make sense not to. So, yeah.
So finding a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Finding a safe space is really important, and I think sometimes if you feel like you can't find that safe space, starting off with, like you said, when you found your mentor, starting off with that one person who you feel like and you can trust, and then stepping into a space with them can be comforting as well. So we are coming close to the end of our time with you, Tarah, but do you have anything that you would like to leave everybody with today about either with loneliness or even about how they can get to know themselves better through meditation and things like that? Because that's really your specialty as well. Because I think somebody else in the comments was talking about dive deeper into meditation if you're lonely. And it's that process of sort of being comfortable with yourself and being okay just in the presence of yourself. So what would you like to leave everybody with today? Tarah, a piece of advice, a tip. What do you have for everybody that's juicy?
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I would have to agree with that. We're kind of getting deeper into meditation and stuff, and then really using like a journal as a tool afterwards to see kind of what comes up. And I love to recommend to everybody the importance of starting like a gratitude practice if they haven't, because I think it's so important, especially even for your mindset, to try to stay in a positive space. And sometimes it can be difficult. So, I like to suggest 1 to 3, because that's easy, every day, but start a book and, come up with 3 things you're grateful for. And maybe you're just grateful that some random complete stranger opened the door for you at a store while you were going somewhere that day, and write that down. And then suddenly it builds and builds and builds. And all of a sudden you've got hundreds of things to be grateful for. And so then I think when you get stuck in that moment of loneliness, or you're frustrated in a moment, you can pull that out and kind of take a look at it and remember that you wrote those words and that you are filled with that warmth and gratitude and love and sprinkle a little pixie dust. That's
I love it.
I like a little glitter and dust.
Awesome. So if everybody's if you check in the description of this video, whether you are on Facebook with us or on YouTube watching, all of the links for Tarah are in the description, and you can also find her coming up on several more episodes of this season 1 of The Breakthrough. Is there anything else that you want to point people to, Tarah, that you have going on that maybe they might find interesting?
Yeah, I do have a free little 10-minute mini vacay meditation on my website that they can download. It's a little relax and unwind, kind of go to the beach, because I love the beach. So it seemed fitting for me to have a beachy meditation. But yeah, that's available to them as a free download.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And who doesn't love a mini vacation? I know I'd like one right now. All right, Tarah, thank you so much for joining us today. And like I said, we are so excited to have you coming up as a guest panelist on the show. I think it's going to be amazing. Everybody give some love to Miss Tarah as we say goodbye to her today. Thank you so much, Tarah. And we are going to move in now to our roundtable discussion. And I know that my face has been frozen on the screen. I love when that happens. I'm frozen. I'm starting to feel like Elsa here. You guys that have kids know what I'm talking about.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh my gosh. Oh, this was such a good topic because it's so funny. Like I said, I was talking about this loneliness thing and such on my Monday night show with Christy Warnick, who oddly enough is, or I should say synchronistic enough, is our guest on the show next week. but we were talking about, doing energy healing type work in an area where the vast majority doesn't really understand, what we do, or, they think that they have a lot of preconceived notions, if you will, about what we do and the kind of people that we are. And it's really funny. Oh, look, I'm unfrozen. Yay.
Welcome back.
Thank you. It's been an experience because this ties in perfect to Hot Topics too.
It does.
It does. When I first started going through my spiritual awakening here, my biggest one yet, I should say, I spent a lot of time really angry. Because I lost a lot of friends at the time, not really understanding then why they were walking away. And I was really angry at, why do I have to go through this awakening in a place where people not only don't understand, but they don't want to take the time to listen either, to really get who I am and what I'm going through. And then, on retrospect, it was, would I have had the amount of growth that I have had if I was in a place where I was all comfy and everybody loved Jessica and I had a ton of friends? Probably not. Because I have been pushed so far out of my comfort zone in living here that that it has just kind of propelled me faster than I think I was prepared or even knew could be like this. What has been your experience, Heather, with loneliness where you are? Do you experience that at all?
So with my family and stuff, we're all spread everywhere. So the family part of it is, that's there. Like, there's some family members and stuff. And then the friends, again, we have our own lives, we have our own thing. And, one of my girlfriends, my best friend of 14 years, we actually, this year alone, have seen each other 3 times, where one year we didn't see each other at all. So to me, the loneliness came when it was, okay, after I got to see them, and then I was afterwards like, okay, so now I'm out in the country and by myself kind of deal. And I'm like, okay, this feels weird. Like this, it was good for me. But again, as someone who's an extrovert, it's like, okay, but I like my peopling when I want to, but then it's been a lesson for me to learn how to be with me. Mm-hmm. And that has never been something I'm always the one that's go, let's do everything for everyone, let's plan everything, let's go over here. That's how it used to be. Now I'm like, okay, I need to just sit back and be with me and see who I am, because I lost myself for however long. And recently I've only found myself again. So, and I'm going to turn myself off.
And now you're in trouble.
And now I'm in trouble, and I'm going to mute myself to the fire station right beside me. So.
Well, let me ask you too, Heather, really quick. Because you're really big into the decluttering stuff, I was thinking back to your comment about your best friend. I don't know does she live fairly close to you? The one that
she's within about an hour or so drive.
Okay. Yeah, so it's really funny because I think about this a lot. When I was little, we lived in an apartment complex, and we used to have these nights at least once a month where we would rope off the parking lot. Everybody would bring out their grills. We would have music going. Everybody's family and all the kids were outside. Shout out to my Brantford Manor people. All of the kids, we used to be playing on the big rock out there. Okay. The big rock. You guys know what I'm talking about. Okay. So we would do that all the time. And we knew each other. We knew each other really well, and inside and out, and we always spent time together. Now I feel like this we've almost decluttered each other. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't spend that time anymore. Do you feel like, Heather, that people have cluttered their lives so much with so many things that we're kind of forgetting about the human interaction and the people?
And that's one of my biggest values, is putting the people over the stuff, putting the relationships over the stuff. Because we've gone, actually there's a book I'm reading right now, The Story of Stuff, I think it's called. Mm. And it talks about how, as consumers, we have consumed so much, and we've, kept up with the Joneses. We've done all this stuff that we've not only forgotten about, the human lives that in relationships, but our Mother Earth, like the planet that we live on, the only planet that actually has life to it. Mm-hmm. We've forgotten about that too. So that was, one of the relationships. So yeah, like we've cluttered ourselves up so much that we've actually gone to a point where we don't socialize like we used to, because we like, oh, well, we don't want anyone coming over because our place looks like crap because it's so cluttered. Oh, well, I can't do that because, they have, the fancy cars and we don't. Like it becomes such a weird dynamic recently that I'm trying to change back to the way it was, where, when we were kids playing off the rocks, and I think every child has some sort of rock area that they used to play with. I can guarantee you. But that's the thing, like even with my own children, like it's, when I take away electronics, it's like the end of the world. Mm-hmm. When did that become that thing? I said to my kids, I was like, listen, go outside and play. Go use your imagination. Go play with each other, like kind of deal. So it just, they're really good about it actually. But still, I do find that we have put so much clutter into our lives that we've forgotten about each other. Mm-hmm. That we've forgotten about what really matters in this world, which is our relationships between us, between, human life, between, the animals, the planet, the whole thing. Like that is just something that I find that I totally, absolutely agree that we've cluttered up ourselves so much that we've forgotten and we've become lonelier.
Well, and that's why I asked too, and I'm glad you brought up, specifically about the planet that we're on and the life that we're in, because I absolutely agree with the comments that were coming in on the video with you guys talking about enjoying your own company and diving deeper into meditation if you're lonely, etc. I think that is very important, but at the same time, we chose this human life for a reason, and this human life involves interaction with other human lives. And when we don't get that, it is absolutely natural to crave that, to want that interaction with other people. Yes, some people are introverts and they would like to be a hermit. That's me some days. But if I don't get that interaction, I crave it. So it's normal. It's, yes, you should get to know yourself. Yes, you should go within and be comfortable with yourself. But you have to, that's part of this life, is this relationships with other people. And I think it's important that we recognize that. Donna, what is all this looking like for you with the loneliness? What's been your experience?
Well, it's funny. I was taking some notes while you guys were talking. It's funny because Jessica, you had mentioned when you were going through your big awakening mm-hmm. and losing friends and people not there and not understanding what you were talking about. And it's funny because I felt like when I went through my big one about 8 years ago, that I was speaking a foreign language. It was like I was saying simple words to people that they were looking at me like I had 10 heads and 2 tongues, and I'm just like, what is wrong? Why are you people looking at me like I'm crazy? I just asked you how your day was, and who would have thought I said, go jump in the creek? So when you said that, I that jumped in my mind, so I wanted to say that. But the other thing, too, was when we were talking about, when Tarah was talking about meditating and journaling, which are 2 big things for me that I went into kicking and screaming because I'm so ADD that I've got to be up and down, up and down, up and down. And you want me to stop and meditate. And not only do you want me to meditate, but now you want me to journal about it. But I love it now, and I can't imagine life without it. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about was I also do a thing called page dumping. And this goes back to the hot topic a little bit, but it's where I take my thoughts, no matter what they are. It doesn't have to be a sentence. It can be a word. It can have no rhyme or reason to it, but I'm just dumping everything that's in my head, positive, negative, whatever, to give that negativity its ownership, because that's all the ego wants, is to have ownership, right? So I dump that, but then at the end of it, I do 2 pages typically, unless I'm really in a zone and really out there and negative. And then at the end of it, though, I have to come back with 5 positives. whether it's what happened that day or just 5 things that are positive so that I can flip that energy around. So anyway, I just wanted to say those things. But back to the loneliness side. So yes, Jessica, I'm kind of like you. I'm in an area that is not, as you know, you were here, is not kind of as conducive to a lot of what I do. So for me, I feel like, and I'm like you, I'm a huggy, feeling type person, and I need that energy from people. So I need to be out and around people. So for me, I get where I feel my loneliness is when I'm wanting to be in that eggshell or that cocoon of like-minded people, and I want us to get, in a circle and have a drumming session and hug it out, And so I crave that. That's a big craving for me. So that's why when Jessica was here, I could have just really sucked up all of her time the whole time she was here, because it was just like, I just need you. But I was trying really hard not to do that.
No, I mean, I was doing it too when I was there, because that trip where I got to see you and Lori, shout out to Breakthrough panelist Lori Ann Davis.
Yes.
It was so moving to me, because that was the first time since this big, one of my big breakthrough moments and spiritual awakening. That was the first time that I had been in the physical presence of someone who got it, of someone who loved me anyway, other than outside of my husband and my children.
Right.
And so, that trip, I just came home and I was in tears because I was just I wish I could have that all the time. And like you said, just call up and be like, yo, Donna, get your drum. We're going to drum this out.
Get over here right now.
And it's
Yeah.
It's hard because you, like I said, we crave that as in our human experience to have that that interaction and those hugs and that common bond and that sort of thing. And so that's really been my only, my biggest struggle is that physical that physical touch aspect, and that simply because you guys know, and those of you watching who are also energy healers, the energy that we feel from other people is so much more powerful when we're physically right there. Doesn't mean we can't feel it here like this, but it's so much more strong and powerful when we're right there. And so yeah, I think this has been an amazing topic today. Those of you all who have watched this live, who are going to be watching it on the replay, let us know how you've experienced loneliness in your life. Comment below about that. Also, go back and comment about our positivity hot topic and what that looks like for you as well. I do want to give a quick shout out to everybody that I've seen live. Now, mind you, you may have been here and I just haven't seen you. If that's the case, say hello next time. But I want to say hi to Christy Warnick, who is our guest next week. Donna will be talking about that in a minute. And Dinah was also here. Suzanne was also here, who left a very funny comment about computer programmers and rubber ducks, which you guys need to go read that. And also, we had a new viewer today. Nin was here as well. I think that's how you pronounce your name. You spelt it out for me. And everybody else that's been on live, thank you so much for joining us today. I want to give a big thank you to Heather as well for being our panelist on today's show. She's our declutter coach and consultant who did an amazing job as well. And I also want to thank all of you for being on today. Again, we love you and we appreciate you so very much. Whether you're on live or on the replay, doesn't matter. We just love that your energy was here. So my name is Jessica Dugas. I am an intuitive mentor and energy healer.
And I want to say a shout out to Sandy, who is on, and Amanda. And if anybody else that's on, I'm sorry if I'm not saying hey to you as well, but I do know those two are because I was interacting with them. So anyway, I am Donna Brown, holistic wellness practitioner, and this has been The Breakthrough. So join us next week when we have Christy Warnick, spiritual intuitive and spiritual intuitive and energy healer. Sorry, I'll get it out in a minute. As she shares her breakthrough with energy healing. So we're going to talk even more next week about energy healing. Piggyback off of this week, right? I love how this is all kind of synchronicity every week after week.
I know it.
Flows. We look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same place, 12 p.m. Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.